You've arrived at Adventures in Dreamland. Soft, surreal, and slightly cheeky sleep stories with awe and wonder. I'm Serene, your guide tonight. Whether you're here for sleepy science, surreal dreamscapes, or stories that shape who you're becoming, I'm grateful you're here. I write these stories to help you drift and grow. Each night, you're welcomed into a dreamy space from across the world. I'd love to know where you are and what makes your space extra cozy. Running a story cabin in the clouds isn't free. The greatest gift you can give to support my work is sharing our adventures with a friend. Now, we return to what we are. Every living organism on this planet, no matter how small or complex, wants the same thing. Every action we take is for this one thing: to avoid pain and obtain bliss. Bliss is a state of endless joy, mixed with peace beyond our knowing. Whether you call it the soul, awareness, or your highest self, that part of you, during deep sleep, temporarily withdraws from the body and the conscious mind and returns to the freedom and unity with the divine. Bliss without awareness. This restores not just the body and mind, but our spirits too, offering a sense of inner peace and clarity. So yes, sleep is sacred. You are returning back to your natural state. Freedom. Your story begins. The Long Dreamy Haul through Brazil is episode 69. This is the third stretch in our Dream Haul mini-series, which is inside the larger Dream Grounding playlist, where we appreciate the everyday beauty of life through different types of travel. One. Seu Zé. The flip-flops are the first thing you notice. Havaianas, blue and white, resting on the pedals of a 40-ton truck like they belong there, which, in Brazil, they absolutely do. The left one works the clutch. The right one minds the gas. Neither one seems concerned about safety regulations, and frankly, neither does their owner. You blink, you sit up, and you think, how did I end up in a Brazilian freight truck in the middle of what appears to be the largest highway in the southern hemisphere? Either you fell asleep watching a football match and got exported, or this dream has a very relaxed dress code. Not that you're complaining. The cab is enormous. Not cozy enormous like Earl's sleeper back in America. Just enormous. A Scania R450, if the badge on the steering wheel means anything. The dashboard is wide and sun-bleached, cracked in places where the equatorial sun has spent years slowly cooking the plastic into submission. A plastic statue of Nossa Senhora Aparecida, Our Lady of Aparecida, patron saint of Brazil, is glued to the dash with the permanence of something that has survived potholes, rainstorms, and at least one near miss with a cattle trailer. Beside her, a faded photograph. Two girls, maybe 12, mid-laugh, holding ice cream cones that are already melting down their wrists. A sticker on the sun visor reads, Deus é fiel, God is faithful, and behind the wheel, Seu Zé. He's somewhere past 60, with a thick gray mustache that could qualify as regional wildlife, and a pair of aviator sunglasses held together at the bridge with electrical tape. His skin is dark and sun-creased, the kind that comes from decades of driving with your elbow out the window. He wears a faded Santos FC jersey and shorts, because this is Brazil, and the idea of driving a truck in trousers is considered unnecessarily formal. Acordo, eh? He says, grinning. You woke up, huh? You were sleeping like a chacaré in the sun. I was starting to think you were cargo. He pats the dashboard. This is Rainha, Queen. She's a Scania, 20 years old, 600,000 kilometers on her clock, and she's still the most reliable woman in my life. He pauses. Don't tell my ex-wife I said that. She'll agree, and that's worse. Rainha rumbles beneath you. Not a hum, not a growl, a samba. A low, rolling, rhythmic vibration that moves through the floor and into your bones, as if the truck has internalized the beat of the country and can't help moving to it, even at 80 kilometers an hour. Brazil has over 2 million truck drivers, Seu Zé says, adjusting his tape-repaired sunglasses. Second biggest trucking workforce on the planet. We move 65% of everything in this country. Food, fuel, medicine, furniture, birthday cakes, you name it. Take us off the road and the whole thing collapses. He snaps his fingers. In 2018, the camioneros went on strike. 10 days. That's all it took. Hospitals ran out of supplies. Airports shut down. Supermarkets emptied in 3 days. 3 days. The whole country looked around and realized, oh, so that's who keeps us alive. He grins again, mustache lifting. We already knew, but it was nice of them to notice. 2. The Rodovia. The highway is a river. That's the only way to describe it. Not a road, a river. A wide, black, heat-shimmered river of asphalt, flowing north through a landscape so flat and so vast that the horizon doesn't end, so much as give up. And on that river, the trucks, hundreds of them, thousands maybe, double trailer rigs hauling soy, triple trailers loaded with sugarcane so high the stalks sway in the wind like green hair, cattle trucks with wet noses pressing through the slats, tankers carrying ethanol, the fuel Brazil makes from its own sugarcane, because this country looked at a plant and said, yes, but can we drive with it? The convoy stretches ahead as far as you can see, a steel caravan, shimmering in the heat, moving north with the slow, inevitable purpose of something that does this every single day and will do it again tomorrow. This is the BR-163, Seu Zé says, the Soy Highway, 2,200 miles from Mato Grosso to the port at Santarém. Longest, craziest, most important stretch of road in the country. He whistles low. In the dry season, she's fine. Hot, but fine. In the rainy season, he shakes his head. She turns to mud, not regular mud, Brazilian mud, the kind that eats trucks. Whole convoys get stuck for days, weeks, sometimes. Drivers sleep in their cabs, share food, play cards, wait for the road to decide it's ready to be a road again. We call it a estrada que engole, the road that swallows. You look out at the dry, cracked asphalt stretching ahead and try to imagine it as a swamp. You can't. The sun is too bright, the air too hot, the sky too blue. But Seu Zé can. His eyes flicker with the memory of nights spent axle deep in red clay, waiting for a tow that might come in an hour or a day. Brazil's highway network is the 4th largest in the world, he says, but only 12% is paved. The rest, dirt, gravel, prayers. Rainha passes a truck hauling frozen chickens, then one carrying bathroom tiles, then one with a trailer so long it seems to bend time. Each one honks as they pass. 2 short blasts, a greeting, a brotherhood handshake in diesel. Out here, you're never alone, Seu Zé says. The Rodovia is its own country, its own rules. You break down, someone stops. You run out of water, someone shares. It's not charity, it's survival. And survival is how Brazilians say, I love you, when they're too proud to say it out loud. 3. The posto. The truck stop appears the way most important things in Brazil appear. Suddenly, loudly, and with food already cooking. Rainha turns off the Rodovia and rolls into a sprawling dirt lot packed with trucks, parked at every angle, like a herd of steel animals sleeping in the midday heat. The sign above the entrance reads, Posto Paraíso, Paradise Station, which is ambitious. But after 4 hours on the BR 163, you're willing to believe it. This is not a gas station. This is a village. There are fuel pumps, yes, but also showers, a barber cutting hair under a corrugated tin roof, a small chapel with its door open, a mechanic hammering something with the confidence of a man who has fixed everything at least once, and a dog, golden, ancient, and asleep in the exact center of the walkway that everyone steps around without comment. And the restaurant, the smell hits you before you see it. Rice, black beans bubbling in a pot the size of a bathtub, farofa, toasted cassava flour with garlic and butter, golden and crunchy in a steel tray, grilled meat, charred and glistening, cut from a slab that looks like it came from a cow that lived a full and philosophical life. Fried eggs with crispy edges, collard greens, sliced thin, sautéed with garlic until they surrender. This is prato feito, the fixed plate. Brazil's trucker meal. Everything on one plate, piled high, for the price of a coffee back home. It is not elegant. It is not Instagram worthy. It is, however, the single most satisfying meal you will ever eat while standing in flip-flops next to a man named Gordo who drives a refrigerated truck full of acai. Seu Zé loads his plate with the efficiency of a man who has done this 10,000 times. He nods at the cook, a woman with arms like a blacksmith and a smile like a sunrise, and she adds an extra scoop of beans without being asked. Brazil has over 4,000 truck stops, he says between bites, and each one is its own world, its own cook, its own regulars, its own dog. From a speaker zip-tied to a wooden pole, sertanejo music plays. Acoustic guitar, a voice that aches with the particular sadness of someone who loves the road but misses home. Sertanejo is Brazilian country music, born in the interior, raised on the highway, and still the unofficial anthem of every trucker who's ever watched the sunset through a dusty windshield. Seu Zé hums along. He doesn't sing. He hums. The way men hum when the music says something they're not ready to say themselves. The dog shifts in its sleep. The barber finishes a haircut and shakes out his cape. A trucker at the next table tells a joke you can't understand, and everyone laughs, the kind of laugh that needs no translation. You clean your plate, every grain. Seu Zé nods approvingly. Now you're a caminhoneiro, he says. It's not the truck that makes you one, it's the plate. 4. The Cerrado. The world turns gold, not the sharp gold of metal or the warm gold of afternoon light. A dry, pale, infinite gold, the color of grass that has made peace with the sun and decided to wear it instead of fight it. It stretches in every direction, broken only by twisted trees, with thick, corky bark and branches that reach sideways instead of up, as if they've been shaped by wind and stubbornness in equal measure. The Cerrado. Most people have never heard of it, Seu Zé says. They know the Amazon. Everyone knows the Amazon. But this, he gestures at the vast golden savanna pouring past the windows. This is bigger than all of Western Europe. 500 million acres. The most biodiverse savanna on the planet. 10,000 species of plants. Half of them grow nowhere else on Earth. He shakes his head slowly, the way people do when they're talking about something they love that doesn't get enough love, and it feeds the world, quietly, without anyone saying thank you. He taps the rearview mirror. Behind Rainha, the trailer sways with 40 tons of soybeans, harvested from a fazenda in Mato Grosso, loaded this morning by men who started working before the sun did. Brazil is the world's largest soy exporter, Seu Zé says, and the Cerrado produces over half of it. This biome, this one, right here outside your window, feeds chickens in China, pigs in Germany, cattle in Egypt. One truck, one road, one driver in flip-flops, and the chain goes around the planet. You look at the soybeans differently now. 40 tons of small, pale beans sitting in the dark behind you, about to travel by truck, then barge, then ship, across oceans and into kitchens and feedlots, and dinner tables on continents. Seu Zé will never visit. He is one link. Rainha is one link. The road is one link. And the chain holds because every link shows up. The red earth of the Cerrado glows through breaks in the grass. Laterite soil, rich with iron, the color of rust and terracotta. Termite mounds rise from the ground like small clay cathedrals, some of them taller than you, built by colonies that have been engineering these structures for longer than humans have been building anything. A flock of macaws crosses the sky, blue and gold, screaming with the volume and enthusiasm of a family argument at a barbecue. Seu Zé doesn't look up. He's seen them 1,000 times. But he smiles. A small one. The kind that comes from living inside a landscape so alive it occasionally shouts at you in color. Rainha rolls on. The Cerrado rolls with her. Gold and red and green and blue, repeating like a chorus that doesn't get tired of its own song. 5. The green wall. The change doesn't ask permission. 1 hour, the Cerrado is golden and dry and open. The sky a wide blue dome above a sea of grass. The next, something shifts. The grass darkens. The trees thicken. The air, which has been hot and dry for 500 miles, begins to stick. Humidity wraps around the cab like a damp towel, draped across your shoulders by someone who isn't taking it back. Seu Zé rolls up his window halfway, not all the way. That would be surrender. You feel that? He says. That's the forest breathing. The green deepens with every mile. Not garden green, not park green. A green so dense and so layered it looks like it has weight. A wall of vegetation pressing against both sides of the road, reaching over it, tangling above it, as if the forest has been waiting for the Cerrado to end so it can take over the conversation. Vines loop between trees. Palms rise through the canopy like periscopes. Leaves the size of dinner plates overlap in layers so thick that the ground beneath them has probably forgotten what sunlight looks like. The Amazon basin. Not the river, not yet, but its territory, the southern edge of the largest rainforest on Earth, 2.1 million square miles of green, stretching north to the Atlantic and west to the Andes, holding more species per square mile than anywhere else on the planet. People say the Amazon produces 20% of the world's oxygen, Seu Zé says. That's the big number everyone repeats. Real number is closer to 6%, but 6% of the world's oxygen is still, he blows air through his teeth, still a lot. And the river system? 1/5 of all the flowing fresh water on Earth. 1/5 in one place. He shakes his head. More species live in 1 square mile of this forest than in all of Europe. Insects that haven't been named yet. Frogs that glow. Trees so tall they make their own weather. And underneath it all, the roots. He taps the steering wheel. The roots talk to each other. Did you know that? Underground. chemical signals. The whole forest is one conversation, and we're just driving through the middle of it. The road narrows, the asphalt cracks and roughens. Rainha slows, picking her way through potholes that have graduated into craters. The canopy overhead closes tighter, and the light inside the cab turns green, filtered, dappled, like driving through an aquarium made of leaves. A butterfly the size of your hand lands on the side mirror, flexes its blue wings once, and lifts off again as if it just needed to check who was visiting. Seu Zé drives slower here, not because the road demands it, though it does, because the forest demands it, because you don't rush through something this old. You pass through it the way you'd walk through a cathedral, slowly, quietly, aware that you are very small and the thing around you is not. 6. The river. The road ends at water, not dramatically, not at a cliff or a dock or a sign that says stop. The asphalt just stops, gives way to packed red earth, then gravel, then a muddy bank where the land meets a river so wide it takes your brain a moment to accept. It's a river and not a lake. Brown water, slow current. The opposite bank is a dark green line half a mile away, shimmering in the heat. A few wooden boats are tied to posts. A barge sits low in the water, flat-decked and patient, waiting with the particular calm of something that has been loaded and unloaded 1,000 times and has no opinions about it. This is where the road hands off to the river, Seu Zé says. End of the line for Rainha, beginning of the line for the water. He backs the trailer to the loading area with the slow precision of a man parallel parking a building. A crew appears, 4 men in boots and tank tops, sun-dark and unhurried, speaking a mix of Portuguese and something older, something that belongs to the river. They open Rainha's trailer doors and begin unloading the soybeans onto the barge, bag by bag, pallet by pallet, a rhythm so practiced it looks like choreography. From here, Seu Zé says, leaning against Rainha's fender and watching the work, the beans go downriver to Santarém, then onto a cargo ship, then across the Atlantic. China, mostly, some to Europe, some to the Middle East. 40 tons of Cerrado, floated to the sea, shipped around the world. He crosses his arms. I drive. The barge floats. The ship sails. And someone on the other side of the planet feeds their family. That's the chain. Every link matters. Break one, and the whole thing stops. He looks at Rainha, dusty, diesel-stained, road-worn. Her tires are caked in red Cerrado, earth and green Amazon mud. She has crossed half a continent today with 40 tons on her back and didn't complain once. She won't get a thank you note from China, he says. Neither will I. But the beans will get there, and that's enough. The last pallet leaves the trailer. The barge sits lower in the water now, heavy with its cargo. One of the crew members waves. Seu Zé waves back. A short, easy gesture. the kind exchanged between people who share a job but not a language and have found that a wave covers the difference. Rainha's trailer doors close with a metallic clang that echoes across the water and comes back softer, as if the river is repeating it gently to itself. 7. Good night, Rainha. Night falls on the river the way night falls everywhere in the tropics. Fast, warm, and without negotiation. One moment the sky is orange and pink, the water reflecting it back in broad, lazy strokes. The next, the dark arrives, complete, immediate, as if someone pulled a curtain across the hemisphere and said, "That's enough daylight. You've had plenty." Seu Zé has parked Rainha on the bluff above the bank, her cab angled toward the river. The engine is off, the windows are down, the night air pours in, warm, thick, alive with sound. Crickets, not a few, a nation of them. A symphony so dense it becomes a single, shimmering hum, rising and falling in waves like breath. Tree frogs adding sharp clicks and trills. Tiny percussionists scattered through the canopy, each one convinced it's the soloist. And beneath it all, the river, a low, continuous whisper, the sound of water moving slowly over mud and stone and time. Something calls from deep in the forest, a bird, maybe, or something larger, a low, hollow sound, like someone blowing across the mouth of a bottle the size of a house. It rises, holds, and fades, then answers itself from further away, quieter, like an echo deciding to go for a walk. Seu Zé is on his phone. He's called his daughters. You can't hear the words clearly, just the music of them. Portuguese in its softest register, the language fathers use with their children when distance has turned love into something that aches sweetly, like a muscle you've stretched further than usual. He laughs once, a warm sound, then he's quiet, listening, and you can hear a small voice chattering on the other end, filling the cab with a story about school, or a friend, or a dog. The details don't matter. The voice matters. He hangs up, kisses the phone, tucks it into his pocket. "Meninas," he says quietly. "The girls." He leans his seat back, not all the way, just enough. He folds his hands across his chest, over the faded Santos jersey, and looks up through the windshield at the trees and the strip of sky visible between them. Stars are out, not as many as in the open Cerrado, but enough to remind you that above the canopy, above the river, above the road and the truck and the soybeans and the chain that circles the globe, the sky is still there, steady, unhurried, holding everything. "You know what I think about on nights like this?" Seu Zé says. His voice is slower now, sleepier. The mustache barely moves. "I think about the chain, the farmer who grew the beans, the men who loaded them, me, driving 600 miles in flip-flops, the barge crew, the ship captain I'll never meet, the dock worker on the other side, and someone somewhere eating dinner, never knowing that a man named Zé and a truck named Rainha are the reason it arrived. He smiles, the smallest one, the one that lives under the mustache and only comes out at night. We are invisible, and that's okay. The chain doesn't need applause. It just needs us to show up. He closes his eyes. Boa noite, compañero, he murmurs. Good night, companion. The words dissolve into the warm air, like sugar stirred into coffee. Rainha ticks as she cools, slow, metallic, rhythmic, her own heartbeat winding down. The Nossa Senhora on the dashboard catches the faintest glow of starlight through the windshield and holds it in her plastic hands. The river moves, the frogs sing, the forest breathes its long, green, ancient breath around you, and everything that felt heavy today feels, for a moment, exactly as light as it should. You are safe. Sweet dreams. Good night.